Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Srinath Garu, and thank you, Professor Chari Garu, for coming here. And today's is my most favorite subject. Probably that's the reason why they brought me here, because I've been working in this field for more than 33 decades. I mean, I've been there and seen how to decode this B2G, but now I have experts here who've been working with them. I mean, this session today, I wanted to talk about the most important aspect is how do we navigate this B2G? I mean, for all the benefits of B2G, it is called business to government. Is there any strategy that we are building up? How do you unlock this? And because of time constraints, I'm just getting up to the direct question. I mean, I little go back for the Mahabharata story. In this modern day of Mahabharata, business and governance, what does it take the Arjuna? The Arjuna is the small business guy or MSME guy or accelerator or a startup guy who not only enters the battlefield, but finds a clarity, purpose and success within it. Who is that Lord Krishna in this? And the other point, which is your favorite point when I came to the ICOLab, what does it take the business to prepare and endure and finally reach the summit, the Everest I'm talking about? It's like a government engagement. Not by luck or shortcuts, but with sheer clarity and collaboration and purpose. Who is this Sherpa in this? I'd like to ask you a question. Who is Lord Krishna there and Sherpa here? Can you give, both of you give a little clarity about this?
Thank you, Bonu, for putting the context about B2C, B2G, business to government. And this is the segment which many of the people look at it, but very few conquered this space of establishing a profitable and a successful business in the government space. And to your question, many of the people, I mean, as I said, like if the businesses are Arjuna, and there are situations where the businesses became Abhimanyu as well, kind of not able to navigate the whole thing and come out of it. So here, the specific, when to your question, like, okay, for every business, who are looking at into government, they need to understand the context of the business. Means like, okay, especially the government works on based on certain ground rules and people, processes, and systems. So for the businesses who are looking at into this business, they need to have either they understand the whole thing or they need to have some person who can handhold and give the guidance. They could be their partner or the mentor, or they could be some policy. So one of these could act as a guiding hand for them. So
who is that guy?
Yes, in that context, yes, there is so many consultants out there, and what we find is like, okay, there is a catalyst who could connect the dots, saying that this particular project can be suitable for this kind of a businesses. So identifying that catalyst and associating with them is a, so I mean, from a context point of it, the catalyst would differ from project to project and department to department and state to state. So it takes time for them to identify the catalyst and associate and navigate this particular process. There is no one single metric or like some definition saying that this is how the catalyst will look like. So it is a process. That's where when they spend time in the ecosystem of B2G circles or the people who are working in the B2G, they'll be able to identify those things. Yeah.
So that's the point. So we're not talking about Abhimanyu here. We're talking about the Arjuna.
Arjunas, yes.
Okay. So you find that there is entire process, navigating process.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great. Thank you so much. I think, Chari sir, for you.
Thank you. So, what Mr. Banu is asking is how do we work with the government, who is the biggest procurer of services, products and services, particularly focusing on small enterprises as well as innovators.
Absolutely.
Not looking at big contractors, big companies. They're already working with the government through public-private partnerships or through other EPC contracts. The key issue here is how a bright idea which is in the realm of public service delivery, how do we really engage and grow and contribute is the question mark that Mr. Banu has raised. And it's a very difficult area to terrain, but also experiences like Mr. Reddy mentioned about it, he's been doing it and many other players have done it. But I think it's not an easy terrain. Now the question is, how do we go about it? So I think it's like watching a Korean movie. It's a beautiful actors out there, everything is good. The audience are really curious about it, but you cannot connect with that movie unless and until you have a translator or a translation script which is clearly understood by the audience. So the biggest challenge in working with the governments, especially for startups and small enterprises, is that the language you speak, the purpose statement you define, and what the governments want to hear, they have to be in sync. And most of the time, my experience, I worked with more than 200 small enterprises. The language and the narrative and the purpose statement that they define is not in sync with what the audience would like to hear, or in this case, what the government would like to hear. For example, Hyderabad. What is the speciality about Hyderabad? Hyderabad is full of lakes. Now, there are a lot of companies in Hyderabad, in the country, who are excellent in cleaning up the lakes with certain amount of technologies. Take Hussain Sagar as a lake. We don't need foreigners, we don't need Chinese, we don't need Dutch and Germans. We need actually a small enterprise to come with a bright idea to clean up the lake of Hussain Sagar. Now, it doesn't happen. Because the way we complicate the narrative, the way we communicate as an enterprise, I think we need a fantastic translator. You may call it as a mentor, you may call it as an incubator, you may call it as any catalyst, you may call any of those names. But basically, you need a facilitator, you need a champion who understands the government and who understands the enterprise and facilitate this translation. Now, it could be IITs, it could be administrative staff college, or it could be any of the institutions, or it could be TiE Works or TiE Hubs. These institutions are established with a purpose of translating the narrative of the enterprise to be able to communicate to the governments. Otherwise, these are all public sector money, whether it is TiE Works or TiE Hub, all of these entities, these are all funded by the government to facilitate the translation process. So I would say these institutions have a bigger role to play. They have to amplify the role and they have to go aggressively to take this forward.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So during our research, we understood that global market is around about 13 trillion. That is the number that we heard about it, which is, I just calculated for Indian currency, 13 into 13 zeros. And this is a global market for the government sector, B2G. Whereas B2G, for the Indian segment side, there is 750 billion, which is equivalent to 66 lakhs. Now, we just heard in earlier, defense panel, they said 1.76 lakhs opportunity is there in the defense sector side. Now, this is something that everybody is talking about, the startups, because this is core focus is about small businesses getting into B2G. That is the most important point. So can you just delve, especially you, Srinath Garu, you have been there and seen the market, because I don't want to go into political. You do all the work at a time and suddenly the government changes, officer changes. So how does the small businessman can come and, get into this opportunity?
So, with respect to the opportunity, with respect to B2G opportunities is very large. And most of this business is being awarded through a very transparent and public procurement process. So whoever wins through that particular process is safeguarded with the rules about the contract.
Okay.
So yes, there is instances where people do get impacted due to changes in the policy or in terms of certain tenure of the governments being completed. But however, but the businesses needs to be, the small businesses will have a protection about the contractual obligations the client has to fulfill.
Because now we recently heard that the EMD is removed for all the startups, so both the governments, most of the governments across central government and state governments, and we also heard about 3%, benefit for the women entrepreneurs. So will this be an opportunity for the startups?
Absolutely. For example, the rules have been changed in the terms of in giving the 3% or even the EMDs have been waived off for the small businesses. Specifically, if they are startups or MSMEs, they do have a EMD waiver or performance bank guarantee waiver. And very recently, even the performance bonds, which would be allowed as a security bond now.
Okay.
Earlier, it is only bank guarantees or the EMDs are allowed. Now, performance bonds are being given as an instrument to provide in replacement to the bank guarantees. So, which would free up a lot of working capital for the small businesses.
Okay.
So, that gives a lot of opportunity for the small businesses to enter it here. And yes, there are challenges, but there is equivalent number of opportunities which are there. If they know how to, as Sir said, how to get through the translation of the language and have a translator in between the government and the small businesses.
So that's exactly what iCollab is trying to do right now.
Exactly.
Maybe I'll jump on that question to you.
Yeah.
Sir, Chari sir, this is question to you. Very important. What is that next big shift is going to happen? Talking about next coming decade. Is it getting into the government? Is it technology? Or is it transparency? Or the policy? Or all together?
I don't have great hopes on the policy ecosystem, to be very open about it.
I don't want to be political.
Yeah, that's not a political good statement, but that's okay. Because the policy is led by a particular vertical of the government, but the time it gets percolated across multiple tiers of the government, I think it's going to take ages. I think the big shift is going to be the technology, the AI, which is going to become part and parcel of the government systems, are going to be the big shifts. So I think if I were to invest, I would invest in AI, take it to the government so that there's a big shift, and from that we can create multiple activities, multiple jobs, and I think multiple effect will happen. I think it's going to be the technology play in the future. And if governments are, in a way, they're very, very fast in adapting technology, but slow in trusting people and slow in introducing revolutionary policies. But they're pretty good at embracing technology. Now, WhatsApp, the big decisions are taken over WhatsApp.
Oh, yes, that's...
So if all of us know, within the government system, big decisions are taken over WhatsApp, but the policy shifts are going to take years together, have become old. So I think technology is going to be the way forward in public system shifts in the country.
Great, thank you so much. Srinath Garu, this question is for you. When you started, it must be like a startup, big projects, you have done it. Can you give me one example to these startups over here? What could be that magic trick that they have to come back? I don't know, what do you call it across them? How do they go and back that order? Is there any process that they have to go through that? Tendering process, a lot of things there. Can you give me that little magic word? Because you've been there, you've done it.
So, there is no one straightforward answer, but most of it, in my experience, is any of the tenders or any of the RFPs that has come out, there is already a kind of a requirement analysis, and the probable players who are going to bid is being identified. Typically. So identifying that, and if you are small businesses, identifying the tender and identifying the probable competitors to that. And the option one is if you are able to win on your own merit, that is one way of doing it.
Okay.
And if you can't, associating with one of the prospects and bidding it together
Okay.
improves the chance. So in our case, 60% of the bids which we won is through consortium and joint ventures.
So you're talking
Where-
about consortium definitely work.
Yes, consortium and joint ventures do work, especially when you're at a small stage, when you don't have a 100% of a capability at your end.
So you need to search the system integrator, the bigger guys, and work with them. Is that
Absolutely.
what
Not
you
only
said?
system integrators, it is about the complementary partners who could bring together so that your winning chance improves.
Fantastic.
That partner could be a partner who has a good clout in that particular area, or he could be a financial partner, or you could make operations of the executing of the project smoother.
Much smoother. Thank you so much. I think, Chari sir, this is a question for you because I've been there to ask you many times, and you have chosen small businesses people and given opportunities. Most of them, you just mentioned that more than 200 companies you have done it, and I've seen those companies growing from small to bigger right now. How did you choose them? How do you know that these guys are pretty good, and you have taken that challenge, which nobody could not able to take it?
I think we were clear about the problem statements. As my role, I was working with the governments. I know exactly what the problem statements are. For example, for Hyderabad, pothole is a problem statement.
Absolutely.
Okay, lakes are a problem statement.
Melinda Gates Foundation also you have done, Bosch.
We identified the problem statements, and then we strongly scouted for enterprises, especially agile enterprises. There could be big companies, but for them it's not a big thing.
Yes.
Whereas we need to identify agile enterprises, gave them seed grant, risk capital, and lot of seed grant raised from philanthropy and through even Government of India grants and Telangana also. And then we nurtured them, and then we tested the value out of it, and the public sector really embraced those ideas and scaled up. So there is a cycle. We need to build.
So
that
you were the
trust.
bridge in that.
Yeah. So, but I think if you want to institutionalize this sort of process, I think we need to have a smarter way than dependent on an institution or an individual. But we need to find a better way. I think Bangalore is a great example in this case. I think I would like to state here openly about it
Please,
again.
please.
See, Bangalore compared to Hyderabad is 10x ahead on certain fronts, because I'm deliberately making this statement because we are in Hyderabad. I'm a Hyderabadi. There is a very strong philanthropy and high network individual in Bangalore who are deeply committed to changing the way Bangalore works. So they provide that ecosystem for innovations to nurture and come. And they provide that safety nets of working with the governments, both from policy, and they actually direct the government to initiate right kind of policies, and they provide the seed capital for them to succeed or fail. Now, that ecosystem in Hyderabad, the philanthropy and the so-called HNIs, high network individual ability to transformational innovations doesn't exist in Hyderabad as compared to Bangalore. Whether you take Nilakanis, whether you take all the names, all of them come together, what is called Bangalore Development Agenda Task Force. They created a task force to take Bangalore to a different level. I mean, these are challenges, but they're also moving forward.
Great. Who doesn't stop that? We can do same thing in Telangana here.
Absolutely. We should be doing it. I think we need a convening power. We need somebody like Mr. Reddy or TiE or some of those entities to convene these sort of and create an ecosystem for innovation to move forward.
Fantastic. I think over to you, Srinath Garu. Listening to all these things to B2G, I wanted to talk about a little about iCollab. What does iCollab does, and what is that you're bridging here, and how are you solving the small businesses to come to your place and get things clearance? Like, what does that do? iCollab, what does iCollab do?
So iCollab is a public foundation primarily to help small businesses who are interested to work in the public sector, that is primarily in state, central and PSUs, the business. And iCollab is a revenue accelerator, meaning iCollab provides opportunities for the small businesses to win those contracts by mentoring, partnering, and advising.
Okay.
And we bring the translator who could help improve the chances of winning.
Okay.
Winning. And so, and also educate them, and specifically we guide them on what not to do. That is very critical in B2G space, and understanding what not to do is what is critical. And also when they are in execution, and when they face challenges, and what are the steps that they necessarily take. And for example, like if they wanted to look at, I quote I give an example where recently there was
I wanted one example.
Yes.
What you have done it.
Yeah. So recently a small business who came to us, and they have a capability, and they're not meeting the necessary qualification criteria.
Okay.
So we help
But
them.
you just heard that qualification is not necessary, EMD is not necessary.
Absolutely. So in the qualification side, most of the time the pre-qualifications are set such that, okay, for MSMEs and startups, they do qualify, but they don't qualify on technical grounds. So in such case, they need to partner. We help the businesses to identify such partners so that, okay, they
So you handhold them.
handhold them, and also they get that particular, they are more suitable for that contract. One. And sometimes, like the people might have worked in a POC and they don't end up getting the works. So
Okay.
in such a case, what are the options that they have? So these kind of mentoring and advisory services, as well as
So do you
helping
fund them?
So we as iCollab as a revenue accelerator, we do connect with them,
Okay.
to them who are the interested investors for that particular project, case to case basis.
Okay.
iCollab is not an investment organization. It is more about helping the people, helping the small businesses to scale up their revenues. So in B2G space only, not in B2B or B2C. It is only
Great.
B2G space.
Great.
So that's and it's a foundation where the companies who are in the B2G space
Okay.
are partnering to take the step forward, so that the opportunities are created for the small businesses.
Great, thank you. Chari sir, this is a question to you, but you've been delving with a lot of, with the government, both central government, state governments, many governments have been done. In fact, one of the greatest projects that you worked with Melinda Gates Foundation and done a lot of good work over there. So while doing such big projects, there's an opportunity for the startups and there's a process there. Can you just delve on that, how these small businesses should come, how they should follow to come over there and clinch these orders?
So I think, as I said, you need a good translator for them to understand how to navigate the jungle of public systems.
Okay. जंगल में तो बहुत सांप रहते हैं.
So jungle में शेर रहता है, सांप रहता है, but there's also a lot of wealth in jungle.
Very good.
So you need to know how to navigate the system.
Okay.
So I'll give you a small example, the tiniest example. I think very close to this place, we organized an event like this for a lot of climate tech startups. One of them is on rainwater harvesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now that company started in 2019, around 1920, just before COVID. And now the company is about a 50 crore turnover company in rainwater harvesting space.
Wow.
Now, how do you do it? You work with national highway authorities. You need to give them what are the areas that they need to target, which government departments are looking for what. For example, metros, there are about 25 metro stations are coming up, metro projects are coming up. Every metro project in India requires rainwater harvesting to make sure that whatever water is getting accumulated goes back into the ground. So there is a sustainability requirement, but there's also flooding requirements.
Okay.
So the cities where this is going to be happening, like Delhi, Gurgaon, including part of Bangalore, Chennai. So we need to really guide them how to navigate, how to prioritize, which department to reach to.
Who is that guy? Who is going to navigate them?
I think in this case, we have done it as an institution, as ASCII, we have done
Okay.
it at that time. But I think we need to create such Arjunas or called Sherpas in hundreds and lakhs in the country.
Excellent.
And that's, I think, we need an ecosystem for Sherpas itself. We need to have 100,000 Sherpas in the country to navigate the public system. That itself is a business.
Fantastic, sir. So now, due to the constraint of the time, but I wanted to delve into one most important point is, these many startups who are actually working in many different sectors, are there any core sectors in the government they should focus upon at this juncture? It's very crucial because they cannot go and waste their time, very important at this juncture. So what are those vertical segments which they should focus upon?
I think, that the verticals keep changing from time to time. At present, the verticals which are in really, there is a large government spend that's happening is defense is one, maritime is one, railways, and
I'm talking about these local governments, anything?
the local governments, lot into urban development,
Okay.
a lot into energy transition.
Okay. Great. Yeah. Great.
So
I
energy
think the
transition.
message is time up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Great.
energy transition is one big space,
Great.
and also like in as I said, urban development and energy transition, both are space.
Great. Sir, over to you.
So I'll just keep it quick.
Yeah.
I think we are at a 30% urbanization right now. India is going through a massive urbanization transformation. So we'll be about 55%. There's a massive demographic shift. If I were to bet, the biggest areas for startups and ecosystem is a circularity and sustainability space.
Okay.
Water, sanitation, waste management, the climate, all of these issues are going to be the game-changing areas. That's number one. Second is the data. These are the two areas in the public systems realm which are going to exponentially grow for small and medium enterprises.
Thank you so much. I'd like to ask any question from the audience. Anybody? One question, not more than that. Great. I think depending on the time, time is up. I could able to see everyone over here. Thank you so much, Professor Chari Garu and Srinath Garu.
Thank you,
It's a
Banu.
great opportunity. At least we're able to talk about how B2G works actually with the small businesses. Thank you once again. Very kind of you.